Here for I'd like to call this meeting to order. We're here for the purpose of the regular meeting of the Elmhurst City Council. I would ask that you all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Spencer, I'd ask that you call a roll.
Sabatino.
Here.
Deuter.
Here.
Dunn.
Here.
Leader.
Here.
Polumsky.
Here.
Graham.
Here.
Saludo.
Here.
York.
Here.
Levin.
Here.
Park.
Here.
Honquist.
Here.
Kennedy.
Here.
Mulliner.
Here.
Brennan.
Here.
14 present, 0 absent.
14 present, 0 absent. We have a quorum. We are in session. We have a couple of, we have 4 things actually to celebrate this evening. We're going to start with, okay. I'm going to ask Sergeant Rivkin and family to meet me right up here.
Sergeant.
Let's go up here, up in the center stage. Oh, let's see, I don't need this. Okay, we have a couple of promotions tonight. Step up here. It's not a badge you get to steal. Can I just start cheating? Oh, look at that. All right, so why don't you tell us what we have here tonight? How old Landon? Mostly. He's 2. Happy to be here.
Look at that little kitty, doesn't it?
Do you have anybody else in the audience? Besides your brother? Okay. All right, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, David Ripken, do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the ordinances of the City of Elmhurst, and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Watch Commander according to the best of my ability. Congratulations. We're going to take a picture here. You don't have to kiss me. Congratulations again. I know that the Alderman.
Congrats. That's right. You always have congratulations. Thanks for your service.
That comes with the joke.
Congratulations.
I informed Mr. Leader. His new job?
Congratulations. Congratulations. Well done.
Congratulations and thank you.
Congratulations. Watch your step.
Congratulations.
Congratulations again. Would you like your badge?
Oh, you're used to it. I'll get them next week.
All right.
Counter and antenna.
Come on up and bring family, any family you brought. More the merrier. Mom and Dad? Yes, Mom and Dad. Fantastic. All right, spread out. Let me give you the badge. Why don't you tell us who we have here? Who's coming up here?
That's funny.
Fantastic. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Brendan Bruckner. Do solemnly swear. To uphold the Constitution of the United States. Constitution of the State of Illinois. And the ordinances of the City of Elmhurst. And I will faithfully discharge the duties office of police sergeant. Of the office of police sergeant. According to the best of my ability. According to the best of my abilities. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Congrats, thank you. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Brandon. Congratulations. Thank you.
We all got a little bit.
Congratulations, Sergeant. Nice job. Congratulations.
Congratulations and thank you.
Congratulations. Watch your step.
What's your step?
Congratulations.
All right, it's all yours now. Training's over. Okay, we have two other items this evening. Is James Warden here? Jim, you want to come and join me? And anybody else you want to bring up with you? I have a proclamation to issue. This is for the Lions Club International. Lions Club International is celebrating its 100th year anniversary by hosting a celebratory centennial convention in Chicago on June 30th of this year through July 4th. Lions Club International was originally chartered in 1917, and the Elmhurst Lions Club was chartered only 5 years later on June 7th, 1923. The Lions Club International is the largest service organization in the world with more than 1.4 million members in more than 46,000 clubs worldwide, and it's active in more than 200 communities. Lions Club International is best known for fighting blindness by developing site programs which include vision screenings, equipping hospitals and clinics, distributing medicine, eyeglass recycling, and raising awareness about eye disease. Whereas this year marks the 100th anniversary of the Lions Club International, a nonprofit agency that empowers volunteers to serve their communities, meet humanitarian needs, encourage peace, and promote international understanding through the Lions Club. Now there, I, Steve Morley, Mayor of the City of Elmhurst, do hereby proclaim June 30th, 2017 through July 4th, 2017 as Lions Club International Week. Congratulations.
That's right.
Proud lion, proud lion.
Just hold up your lead.
I'll just stand up here. How's that?
You look like your photo mommy.
You're a shy man. I hope. Too late.
It's easier to just hear this way.
And he is
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a great honor for our club. We appreciate it very much. And of course, Lion Jim Grabowski, you have to say Lion, otherwise I might get fined. So that's why we do that. But we're so happy to be involved in the community. Like Mayor Morley said, we've been in town for since 1927, or 1923, I apologize. And we've worked over the years to help any part of the community that we need, whether it's vision, whether it's hearing. We recently helped with International being so close right here in Oak Brook. We recently were able to get a $100,000 grant to help with a new diabetes research program at Elmhurst Hospital. Plug for the club, we meet twice a week, twice a month, second and fourth Mondays over right at Wilder Mansion. We're always looking for new members that would like to help out in the community. And as a way for us to thank the community for all their support over the years, Saturday, June 3rd, at the Hub at Barron's Park in the tent from 11 to 2 p.m. We're going to give away free hot dogs to the community as a way of just saying thank you for all your years of support. So if you got a couple of free hours to come out with the family, get a free hot dog, and we'll say hello. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm going to ask Mike Laspisa and his family, and I think there's 2 folks from the board who are here. Lance and Steve, you got to come up as well. And family, the whole Laspisa family. We're missing one, Mike. She's at softball, okay. Are you going to stand up here while I say some stuff nice about you? Well, this is another good reason to celebrate tonight. Oh, Mike, why don't you tell us who we have up here before we get in? Okay, so for those of you who have been living under a rock for the past 15 years, Mike Laspisa started a charity, Kickoff for Kids. And I've known Mike for longer than I want to admit out loud, but for a long time, almost my whole life. And it's really a joy and a pleasure of mine to be up here giving Mike the recognition that he deserves, but honestly often shuns. So Mike started this Kickoff for Kids way back when, and early on when Mike started this, he actually would piggyback. He was very good at organizing events to raise money for kids, for Elmhurst kids, for people who work in Elmhurst. It was all about the kids, and Mike used to always partner with other charities and raise a bunch of money, and ultimately, Mike, it morphed into actually forming his own formal charity. And Mike has just done a fantastic job. I'm honored to call him my friend. He is definitely one of those people that you will meet in Elmhurst. People always wonder what makes Elmhurst great, what makes Elmhurst tick. Mike's one of those people. Mike's one of the people that gives the it in Elmhurst when you ask why it's such a great community. He gives back because he wants to, for no other reason. There's no cause. Mike has no personal cause in this. Mike wanted to give back, and he wanted to give back to the residents and the kids of this community. He's been doing it for 15 years, and he is a man of few words. He's a man of action, more about getting the job done when he runs his charity. So I'm going to say a few nice words about Mike. Mike Laspisa, a lifelong Elmhurst resident, distinguished graduate of IC Catholic Prep, has a long history of service and dedication to the city of Elmhurst, and is a co-founder of Kickoff for Kids. Whereas Kickoff for Kids, a nonprofit organization founded 15 years ago, seeks to enrich the lives of Elmhurst children through family-centered programs focusing on community education, health, and fitness. Whereas, through Mike's tireless efforts and generosity of his supporters, Kickoff for Kids raised nearly $700,000 in contributions. And whereas, under Mike's direction, Kickoff for Kids used those funds to support local causes, which included honoring dozens of teachers with their cherished Star Educator Awards, underwriting kids-oriented playrooms at Elmhurst Hospital, funding outdoor classrooms, adjustable basketball hoops and park renovations, and sponsoring scholarships for local high school graduates. Whereas Mike Laspisa and Kickoff for Kids have touched the lives of countless families in Elmhurst and will long be remembered for their many and generous contributions to the community. On behalf of the City Council and Elmhurst community, I extend our gratitude to Mike Laspisa for his service and dedication to the children and families of Elmhurst. Now, therefore, I, Steve Morley, Mayor of the City of Elmhurst, with great pride hereby proclaim May 15, 2017 as Mike Laspisa Day.
do. Thanks. Man. Great job.
My mic.
Congratulations. Watch your step.
Watch your step.
He's gonna catch it.
Yeah.
Okay, always nice to start out a meeting with a couple promotions and proclamations. On to agenda item 5. Receipt of written communications from the public. At this time, is there anybody in the audience who has any written communications they wish to submit to council for further distribution? I see 2. Sir, yes. Come on up and hand whatever you have to Clerk Spencer.
Okay.
Mr. Day?
We filed 19 copies of 3 separate documents with City Clerk Patty Spencer. The first is a letter dated May 12th.
Scott, I'm sorry, Mr. Day. This isn't public formula. This is just submission of,
I'm just reciting what documents we filed.
okay?
The first is a letter dated May 12th, 2017. We filed it with the city last week, but it did not make board documents until today. The second is a letter that was put together by Administrator Love Davi of Elmhurst Extended Care. That is also filed, and he will speak to that. The last is a petition signed by approximately 60 residents in support of the EECC application.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk Spencer, you got that?
Thank you, yes.
Okay, agenda item 6, public forum. Before we get started here, we have what I'll call a little bit of a wrinkle, but I think it's important. Mr. Day just referred to it. That's the best way I can put this. Certainly, anybody who signed up for public forum, I certainly encourage you to speak if you're so inclined to do so. However, I will say that in the last 3.5, 4 days, the city has received a significant amount of data or documents concerning the Elmhurst Extended Care, which is 10.1 on our agenda. I can tell you now that when we get to that part of the agenda, it is the intent of the chairman of the committee to pull it back to committee. So we will not be discussing or voting on it tonight. I state that at the beginning of public forum, just to let you know that that report's being pulled back to committee. And it will happen when we get to that point in our agenda. Doesn't mean that anybody who signed up for the agenda tonight, you can still speak, but wanted to give you the opportunity to understand that when it gets to that part of the agenda, that report's being pulled back. So, and if you don't want to speak, that's fine. Just when Clerk Spencer calls your name, just give that indication, or if you want to change your comments. Public forum, agenda item 6. This is an opportunity for anybody in the audience to address the council on any item they so choose. We ask that you direct all of your comments to the chair. When you're recognized, we ask that you go to the microphone next to that handsome gentleman in the yellow shirt, not the one up front that Mr. Day used. We ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes out of respect for the work that we have to get done here this evening and out of respect for other folks who may want to speak. If you get close to your 3 minutes or go over, I will give you a gentle reminder and ask you to wrap up. When you are called, we ask that you approach the microphone and state your name as we are recording these proceedings. Clerk Spencer, at this time, is there anybody who has signed up for public forum?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have several. I'll start with Roz Lin, 186 Grace.
I got it. Hey, Roz, could you back up to the microphone behind you?
Just gonna say, person 134.
Didn't have my glasses on, that's probably why. It's kind of fitting that I'm I'm going to be talking about my mother and her relationship with Elmhurst Extended Care Center.
Roz, could you identify yourself for?
Oh, I'm sorry, Roz Lin.
Thank you.
Again, it's kind of interesting, kind of fitting that tonight I'm talking about my mother and her relationship with Elmhurst Extended Care since yesterday was Mother's Day. Many of you know me as Roz Lin, founder and producer of Elmhurst 21st Annual Art in Wilder Park and other art venues. Very few people know me as the daughter of a beautiful mother, Shirley Gans, who lived her last moments of life on December 27th, 2015, at the age of 91 years old in hospice care inside the amazing Elmhurst Extended Care Center. Sometime in our lives, we will be faced with the challenge of finding a trusted place to care for our parents. Both of my parents needed to go to nursing homes during their lifetime. Fortunately, my mother lived in Elmhurst after my dad passed away, so I was blessed to learn about EECC from great friends who had careers as nurse, hospice nurse, and preschool teacher. Two of those friends' mothers lived their last days at EECC. When I asked for their advice on where my mother should go for rehab, due to breaking her second hip, there was no hesitation in recommending EECC, since they all agreed that the staff was amazing, is amazing. My mom was so blessed to spend many months in rehabilitation and was fortunate to walk again with a walker. Remember, this was her second broken hip. Fortunately, my mother moved back to Lexington Square for a short time, but then developed heart complications, so I moved her back to EECC, where she spent her final weeks. I'd like to just take a few minutes of your time and share the stellar quality of care that this amazing staff provided my mother. The administrator, Love, was so engaging with the residents. He actually installed a phone in my mother's room, which was an awesome sight to see, since all the other administrators at all the other nursing homes my parents were at, you never saw them. Whatever my concerns were, he was always there to give his helping hand, even assisting the CNAs in putting the residents' dishes on the carts. The social worker, deciding on hospice for my mom was the most difficult decision of my life. Fran was there for me every step of the way. Speech therapist, Sarah, became my mom's cheerleader and would contact me day or night. Nutritionist, my mother had severe IBS and acid reflux. She was flexible with my mom's needs. Nurses, they took care of my mom in a timely fashion, always concerned about my mother's well-being. My mother appreciated this. Their love and compassion shown to my mom was so heartwarming. They were always at my mother's side. I will always cherish their concern for her. They became family to us. The CNA's work ethics and quality of those wonderful people was incredible. They're the backbone of EECC. The physical therapist, anytime I needed to talk to Phil, the head of the department, he was there for me. The quality time that he spent on the phone was heartwarming. Learning how to walk again for a 91-year-old woman is not an easy feat. My mother never believed she could walk again, but Phil and Pam were miracle workers, displaying so much patience and kindness with my mom's challenges. The activity director, Cindy's enthusiasm and positive attitude was amazing. She brought life to all the elders with her creative activities. As you can see, the staff shared their gifts with my mother. I looked forward to walking inside EECC every single day. That was not the case at the nursing homes where I visited my mom and dad during the many years that they needed nursing home care. My mom and dad lived in 4 nursing homes during their lifetime. I have lived in College View for 38 years. I would be proud to have Elmhurst Extended Care Center as my neighbor. We need exceptional care for our elders. This EECC expansion truly will add more value to the residential area than you can ever imagine. Although my mom is not with us today to share her experience, she is smiling from above. She loved the staff at EECC, and I love them too. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Richard Peter, 1675 Iowa Drive.
My name is Richard Peter, and I'm proud to say that I have a family member who has been in Elmhurst Extended Care for over 10 years, and her parents before her. And we have always been delighted with the treatment that that our family members have gotten there, and the respect and whatever that they get from the help, because it's they treat you, or they treat her anyway, as family. And I came in today to find out more about why the community wasn't interested in having them expand. It's not as if they're expanding the quantity of people that will be there, only the quality of care that these people are going to get. And when I have seen the different elevations that have been presented, that I have seen, they look very similar to the homes that I have seen on St. Charles Road and in the heart of Elmhurst. So from my standpoint, looking at it that way, it looks as if they are trying to be complementary to the city and to the surrounding neighbors. And I think it is would be a total plus as far as Elmhurst is concerned, to allow them to expand and give better care than what already is being given to their residents. I thank you for your time.
Rob Goldstein, 178 East Fremont Avenue.
Hello, Rob Goldstein, live on Fremont Avenue. I just probably speak for my neighbors and say it's kind of frustrating for us, because when these submissions are made at the last hour, it's really hard for us to give a point of view on how we feel about these things. You know, that's just the way the process is, but you know, if submissions made after we have a chance to look at it, how can we come up here and add any value? The one point I guess I'd like to try to make to you guys is this. There are a lot of people up here that spend a lot of time talking about the care at the EECC, and I don't think any of us are disputing the care or the good work. What I will point out is that I saw in the newspapers that the lawyers for the EECC are kind of threatening a lawsuit here if you don't, you know, pass this. And to me, from what I understand of the law, is that if you actually rule based on the quality of care they're giving or the service that they're providing to this community, that's actually not defensible in court. The only thing that actually is defensible in court is the way the Development Planning and Zoning Committee and the Planning Commission actually viewed this item, which was, does the building fit in the spot? And that's the only thing that is defensible in court. So as I understand it, the lawsuits that challenge the town's ruling on conditional use are only successful when a town turns down the development request of a church, school, nursing facility, because the town doesn't like how the organization will use the land in that situation. But they didn't rule based on use. They ruled based on the standards, based on the fit of the structure in the neighborhood, and they found that the construction of a huge building and a parking lot in the middle of a residential street did not fit the character of our neighborhood and would significantly impact the quality of life for our street's residents. That basis is completely defensible. So, you know, I guess I was gonna, you know, close with some kind of a comment, you know, appreciating your civic duty here and the responsibility that you have with the specter of a lawsuit over you. But I think this is being kicked back to the DPZ, and I guess we'll see how they vote, but I'll just remind you that it's about fit, not about the good works that they're doing. Thank you.
Cindy Dvorak, 107 Fellows Court.
Hi, my name is Cindy Gavril, and I am the activity director at Elmhurst Extended Care Center, and I've worked there for 20 years. And I know that there's been lots of changes over the years in healthcare and the need for single rooms, and that's what this is about. It's not so much about having more patients, but it's about having single rooms and building these people, they go to the hospital and they want these single rooms when they come to a nursing home. But, okay, so the other thing too is over the years we've had many volunteers and who live in the community, and they all have enhanced the activity programs. Some of the volunteers have volunteered for over 20 years, and some of them have become patients over at Elmhurst Extended Care Center too. And, you know, we're all getting older, and someday we may need skilled care. And wouldn't it be great to have and I know, again, they don't want to say quality care, but it is quality care in our community. The other thing, too, is I know that before, some of the people said that, oh, there's going to be ambulances coming down the street. Well, no, ambulances go to the front door. They go on Lake Street. They don't go to the back door on Fremont. And also, I know that Fremont Street is unique, and it's they have a lot of character. Well, so is our nursing home. We are unique. We are much different than any of the other nursing homes in the area. So we have the same qualities there. And, and I know one other thing I wanted to say is that, you know, I know that another time someone said they didn't want a two-story building next to them. Well, if they were to sell that property, they would probably have a two-story McMansion next to them. So it's basically the same thing. We have tried very hard to make it look like a community, to make it look like a townhome, to make it look like the houses that are on Fremont Street. Thank you.
I'm going to try real hard to call this next person to the microphone. I can't really read the name or the address, but the name, it looks like it starts with the D, and the last name starts with the J. Oh, good. Thank you.
Sometimes I can't read my own writing, and
Thank you.
a lot of people have that problem. I'm Deacon John Feely from Immaculate Conception Parish in Elmhurst. Moved into Elmhurst 1990. Since that time, I've had a mother-in-law and an uncle who have been at Elmhurst Extended Care, and I know many people in Elmhurst have family who have gone to Elmhurst Extended Care. And these days, as there's two parents oftentimes working away, and there's no longer the family structure that in the olden days, everyone used to stay at home when they got older, and be taken care of by the family. That's not the case anymore. There are many family members in Elmhurst who live here who have senior citizens who are at Elmhurst Extended Care. I'm from Immaculate Conception Parish, one of the 4 parishes here in Elmhurst. I'm the permanent deacon there. And Elmhurst Extended Care is in our parish, and we have, it's fluctuating numbers, but 30 or more of our parishioners are at Elmhurst Extended Care. We have been there weekly since I've come to Elmhurst in 1990, having a Mass or a prayer service along with scripture reading and communion service there. They are part of our IC parish family as they're part of the Elmhurst family. The facility has always been very clean. They're conscientious, loving and caring, and that's what I've observed since 1990. I'm there weekly, 3 times a month, and a priest from the parish is there for a Mass once a month. And again, there are 30 people there, sometimes more. Their families come in for service. I haven't seen them driving around. I think there's only one person I know who has a car of the residents. But it's, as I can say, as a Catholic, not only we, but also the other Religious denominations in Elmhurst, the Lutherans, Reformed, UCC, and all Christian denominations, along with our Jewish residents, I think agree on honor thy father and mother. And as someone said earlier, we just celebrated Mother's Day yesterday, and there are probably a majority of the people staying there are mothers or Elmhurst residents. It is a wonderful place for them. And I thank you, members of the City Council and Mr. Mayor, for trying to make Elmhurst a better place, and in process, making the world a better place. And Elmhurst Extended Care, from what I've observed, is a very good place. And on behalf of our parish and our residents, parishioners at Elmhurst Extended Care, I think this increase in service to keep up with as laws change is a good thing. Thank you.
E.F. Todd Benson, 391 River Glen.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council, fellow residents. Todd Benson, 391 River Glen. Along with my wife, Lena, we moved into Elmhurst in June of 1994. It'll be 23 years. During that time, I've seen a tremendous improvement in our town. I call them tear-ups, not tear-downs. I see great things coming and change, and all very positive. One thing that brings is a turnover. And in most towns, there's a 4 to 7% change in a community over a year. I'm leading up to the fact that I can't assume that everybody will know that there's something on Spring Road called Music at the Gazebo. It starts June 1st. There will be 6 shows this year. And just like I might have seen Alderman Levin at the concert, I don't know if I've ever seen, and I've seen Alderman Polanski. I'm not sure I've ever seen Alderman Kennedy, but I'd love to. Not to call anyone out. Oh, but I'd love to see the rest of the members. June 1st, Elmhurst College graduates Nick and Gail Basasi will perform in big band style. And on June 15th, a great show. An Elmhurst resident, I won't even tell you who it is, but make sure you get out there. Kathy Richardson will be there again, and she'll put on a tremendous performance. I just ask you to come out. There'll be 4 more shows, 2 in July, excuse me, and 2 in August. They're at 7 p.m. Thursday evenings, Spring Road at the Prairie Path, Spring Road Business Association, in conjunction with the Elmhurst Chamber and the Park District, put on those shows with a community grant from the city. My other hat tonight will be for the 30th year. The Elmhurst Farmers Market will begin on June 7th on Villette, just east of York Road. For the last 20 years, the York and Villette Association, in conjunction with the city and again the Chamber, has worked hard to make it your farmers market. Adam at Southtown Hot Dogs does a tremendous job to make sure it's a very safe and clean market, one that is welcoming to all neighbors. Starts at 7 a.m. every Wednesday morning on the 7th, runs through the end of October. Check yorkandvillette.com, and more importantly, like us on Facebook, farmersmarket.com. Those are things to help you explore your Elmhurst. Have a great night. Thank you very much.
Next we have, this is another one I may not be able to pronounce, Diane, and she's at 336 East Highland.
It's Diane DAmico. I'm here to speak on behalf of Elmhurst Extended Care Center. I believe I have a unique perspective on this fine skilled nursing facility, having been employed in the senior housing field for over 15 years, even being a member of the Elmhurst Senior Citizens Commission. When it was time for my own mom needing rehabilitation and nursing care, it was a daunting job looking for the perfect place, and I knew a lot of places. Our own doctor suggested Elmhurst Extended Care for the best care, and she was right. After 7 years, my mom passed peacefully under hospice care in the place she called home. The management and staff are more than 5-star exceptional, their rehabilitation being the finest. A year after my mom had been living there, I filled the vacancy of Director of Marketing at EECC, a job at which I saw my mom almost every day and how she was so well cared for. As Director of Marketing, I visited hospital social workers on behalf of EECC, and they would praise the care their patients received there. Families, however, looked for spacious accommodations, private rooms, large social rooms, and opulent gardens, things that can't compare with quality care. Families whose loved ones resided at EECC couldn't have been happier with the home and awarded it a 100% satisfaction rate. Elmhurst Extended Care Center is such an important benefit to the community, and it can be even more with the wonderfully designed expansion they are proposing. I'm happy to speak with anyone about this recommendation. Thank you.
Phil starts with an R. It looks like 504 North Green Ridge.
Hi, my name is Phil Barkowitz, and I'm actually the therapy director at Elmhurst Extended Care Center. I've worked at Elmhurst Extended Care Center for 19 years. Over that time, it's become my second home, and the residents my second family. Today, I'm speaking as an advocate for the facility and the residents. The facility was built back in 1960. It met the needs and expectations of the community and its residents. 57 years later, the public's needs and expectations have changed. The facility layout is limiting, and we are struggling to meet those needs and expectations. The current design limits freedom, limits privacy. The residents are required to share bathrooms. They use curtains for the privacy, and activities and meals are provided in the same room. The staff actually utilize storage closets for office space. None of this is optimal, but we manage. We still provide quality care. People are still wanting to be in our facility. Unfortunately, when people come through for tours and they realize that we have multi-person rooms, they walk out. There is no opportunity for them to realize how great we really are. Over the 19 years in traveling through Elmhurst, I've observed many changes. Businesses have closed, they have opened. The Holiday Inn is now an LA Fitness. Stevens Steakhouse is now a Thornton's. Elmhurst Ford is now a Mariano's, and Liberty Village was built. Change in the immediate area to Elmhurst Extended Care Center is not limited to the businesses. There have also been changes to the residential properties as well, with new construction, tear downs, and remodels. These positive improvements have benefited the community and owners alike. Those improvements are easily recognizable, and I give credit to our neighbors and to the City Council. Elmhurst is a beautiful community. It's unfortunate that our neighbors lack the same foresight with Elmhurst Extended Care Center, with it being both a business and a residence. It's rather hypocritical to want to improve your own personal living standards. As an example, the upgraded homes on Elmcrest, Fremont, Howard, and Grantley, but limit those of people who cannot speak for themselves. I've always believed Elmhurst to be an inclusive, progressive, and respectful community, and I hope the City Council is able to look beyond the unfounded fears of our neighbors and approve the expansion of the facility. Thank you.
Charlene Frischlinger.
Charlene Freislinger, 135 Larch Avenue.
You can pull the microphone down if you need to.
Thanks. I'm just going to read a letter from Melinda Feely. Her husband lives at Elmhurst Extended Care, and he's on the memory care floor. She wrote this letter to Elmhurst Independent as an open letter to the Elmhurst Fremont neighbors. Do not fear. You are not going to lose your neighborhood. You are not going to lose your memories. you are not going to lose your relationships and friendships. You now have one of the best nursing facilities in your backyard, but it does need to expand to remain viable. It is an asset. Just think, if you need rehab for a knee replacement, you can go right across the street. If your loved one needs dialysis, you can go right across the street. If you need a place for grandma when your family's going to take a trip, you can bring her right across the street. You have your own neighborhood respite place. The drawings that I've seen for the expansion look like they would fit right in. Look like there were a townhouse plan, and then there's a large home plan. And you don't have to worry about flooding because it's going to go towards Lake Street. And EEC will be a good neighbor, and it's a good place where you or your children can even volunteer. So I would just recommend it. Thank you.
Paula, Fabri, Mauro.
Evening. My name is Paula Fabri Mauro, and I live at 126 Clinton Avenue. I've been an Elmhurst resident just shy of 20 years and an occupational therapist for 22 years. During this time, I've seen a lot of change both in my neighborhood and the community at large. Significant changes that were vehemently opposed by large numbers of Elmhurst residents: the new hospital campus, the downtown parking lot structures, and the old hospital campus with its 56 new construction homes, which has permanently altered the characteristic of the neighborhood. Despite the enormous number of objections to all three of these variations and changes, the City Council went ahead and approved them. I wasn't always in agreement of the change, but I believe the city was working in the best interest of the entire community, not just the surrounding neighbors. Neighbors, however, can take many different forms. As an OT, one of my responsibilities is advocating for my clients. People typically think of children or disabled children as the most vulnerable within our society, but disabled children grow into disabled adults, and as people age, they frequently become frail and vulnerable as well. A perfect example were the two elderly gentlemen who waited to speak on behalf of EECC at the very first meeting. One was a resident, and the other's wife is a resident, both longtime Elmhurst residents. That evening, they were denied the chance to speak, and by the time of the following month's meeting, one man had died, and the other was having surgery. And this is how it is at EECC. Life is fragile. The Americans with Disabilities Act was in its infancy when I graduated from OT school. On the 25th anniversary of the ADA and the Fair Housing Act, I took a continuing education course based on how far the ADA had come in providing greater accessibility for the disabled. The single largest identified need was in the area of providing adequate housing within established residential communities. While it's great, we've been very successful at implementing accommodations in public areas, what we are lacking in is breaking down the barriers when it comes to where these citizens live. One of the Fremont residents was quoted saying, "You never knew the old Elmhurst Extended Care Facility existed." And further in the transcript, someone asking, why don't they just build new in a different place? Unfortunately, this is oftentimes a prevalent feeling within a community when a facility like this wants to become part of it. It's okay when they live at Lexington Square or Park Place, where there are distinct borders between the disabled elderly and regular residents. They're okay, just somewhere else. However, this ideology further propagates the alienation of these citizens when in reality they are just like everyone else. Those with disabilities are aware and conscious of when they are not wanted, and the people who are against the expansion seem to be forgetting the fact that EECC is actually home for the Elmhurst citizens who reside there, and they should be allowed the same quality of a home as the rest of the residents in the city. I'm asking the City Council to fairly represent all of the Elmhurst residents who are actually involved in this expansion, not just the people who live on Fremont, when reviewing the plans. On behalf of the disabled elderly residents at Elmhurst Extended Care Center, I want to thank the City Council and the Mayor for their consideration.
Julia Mauro.
Good evening. My name is Julia Mauro, the daughter of Paula Fabri Mauro, and I live at 126 Clinton Avenue. I'm a 17-year-old junior at York Community High School, and I'm honored to be able to speak to you about my experience at EECC. I had heard about what the young man who spoke here at the last meeting had said, something along the lines of wanting more families with children to move in and wondering what other field school kid lives across the street from a nursing home. Your situation is actually pretty special, and I hope I can give you some insight and an alternate solution to your dilemma. However, the boy isn't here tonight. I still hope my story may give some insight to anyone who felt the same way as the young man about living near a nursing home. I, too, was once a 5th grader at Field Elementary School. Hard to believe, I know, but it's true. And I know the stigmas held about elderly people. Your grandparents were there to take you out for ice cream, give you $1 when you were out of money, and ask you about school. No one actually believed they could ever be friends with someone so much older than them. I believe that too. In 7th grade, my mom invited me to come to work with her. At first, I was kind of reluctant. I didn't want to be the girl hanging out with old people. But I was pretty open-minded, so I agreed, and I'm really glad that I did. The residents living at EECC were so nice and were very excited to have a youngster actually want to engage with them. Seeing the same workers every day is nice, but they appreciate new faces. It's important for them to feel wanted, and this keeps them from feeling lonely. They were very friendly and even pretty funny. They had a lot of stories to tell me of their shenanigans when they were young and stories of their kids. A lot of them made me laugh. And they even loved hearing me talk about myself, which I must say is actually rather nice. On one of my first visits, I met a lady named Miss Vivian. She had no children of her own, and her husband had died, so she was really never visited by anyone. She was so delighted to have someone new to talk to. Becoming like a third grandmother to me, I even gave her a wooden clock I made in my industrial technology class, which touched her so much it brought her to tears. I love hearing her tell me stories of herself as a teenager. She was actually pretty relatable. She has since passed away, and I do miss talking to her. The people living at EECC are just that, people. They are not to be feared or thought of as strange. They shouldn't be pushed into a corner of the city. I've learned that firsthand. So the young man or anyone who wants to have more friends move in, you already have some potential ones living across the street. They are very friendly and would love to talk to you, I promise. I hope you will take what I say into consideration. Thank you for listening to my experience and perspective of EECC.
Cynthia Dvorak.
Good evening. My name is Cynthia Dvorak. I grew up in Elmhurst on Fremont, and I still spend a lot of time on the street because I have family and friends who live in the neighborhood. As Mr. Goldstein suggested earlier, the concerns of those of us who oppose the expansion have nothing to do with the services provided by the facility. There are elderly people living on the street, and some of them are disabled, and they're in their own homes. What we are concerned with is the letter sent by Mr. Dave of EECC on May 15th to the City Council, which says that EECC has worked very hard to assure that any impacts to the neighborhood would be in keeping with the existing neighborhood. The neighborhood is not one where several thousand square foot parking lots accommodating 11 spaces are in keeping with the existing neighborhood, nor is it one where structures that will be 10 or more feet higher than the height of this room are in keeping with the neighborhood. Thank you.
Okay, Carl Peterson.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Carl Peterson, and I'm the Director of Business Development at the Elmhurst Extended Care Center. And for the record, I am in favor of the proposed expansion. A lot of good points being brought up here tonight, and a lot of them I have here that are just reiterating, so there's a couple things that I just want to make sure get out there. I want everybody to understand that there's more to consider than this just being a larger building to look at, or that it would be nice to have another couple of families with kids in the neighborhood. Elmhurst Extended Care has been at that location since 1960, and has experienced one expansion already. The local hospitals count on us. Local families count on us. And we're providing a necessary service and a place to live in comfort for those who don't have the option to go home. They, as well as their families, are residents and constituents just as much as anyone else who lives in the neighborhood, and they deserve to be cared for in the best facility we can provide. That being said, I do want to reiterate that the number one thing that needs to be understood is that we're only proposing to expand the building, and that's so that we can provide larger spaces, larger private rooms, and the accommodations that are in demand under the new laws. In fact, the new standard for skilled nursing facilities includes private and semi-private rooms with larger dining and activity areas, and any new or renovated facilities are required by law to be designed this way. So, again, I am obviously for the proposed expansion, and anybody who has questions or would like to visit our facility is welcome to contact us and do so. Thank you.
John McNichols. Is it 105 East Fremont? Can't tell.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, John McNichols, 185 East Fremont Avenue. I live immediately adjacent to the proposed expansion. Mayor, City Council members, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I also want to thank the Zoning and Planning Commission, the Development and Planning Committee, and especially Than Werner and Eileen Franz from the Zoning Administration. They've all done a wonderful job. This has been a long, drawn-out process. Sorry to hear that it's not going to come to a close tonight. For me, it's pretty simple. The letter from Mr. Dave mentions unsupported fears of the neighbors. It's not about my unsupported fears. It's about the municipal code of the city of Elmhurst. There are standards that must be met. These are requirements by law. We have elected officials here in City Council, as well as appointed officials at the commission level who have studied and heard all the testimony, read all the evidence. Both of those, both the commission and the committee voted overwhelmingly against conditional use. We do not, the neighbors do not oppose the use of the building. We do not oppose the good work that Elmhurst Extended Care Center does for the community. This is not about that. It's about whether or not this building should expand onto a residential street. They say it's been there since 1960. It's never been on Fremont Avenue. It's only been on Lake Street. They tore down single-family homes, exposing the facade, the rear facade of their building. It is unsightly at best. If a family, my wife just pointed something out, if a family outgrows a house, they move to a bigger house or to someplace else. They say they have no alternatives. In their letter, dated today, last-minute submissions, after the hearing was closed at the Development and Planning Committee, they say they have no alternatives, yet their plans have changed several times along the way. Several times because the law has changed, several times because their opposition has caused them to change. But if they say they have no alternatives, quite honestly, I'm not sure that's true. The comprehensive plan of the city of Elmhurst calls for multifamily dwellings on North York Street near Churchville Middle School. Has that been explored? They said in the beginning of this case that they couldn't build up on their west wing, and yet now their plans call for them to develop higher on the west wing. Why do they need to build onto East Fremont? Parking lots, mechanical gates, 35-foot structures less than 10 feet from my property line. All of these things lead to the failure for them to meet the requirements of the standards of the Elmhurst Municipal Code. Most notably, property values will decrease. I don't need an appraiser to tell me that. okay? Because I would not have bought my house if the building they propose was already there. But I, in fact, have an appraiser who told me that my property value would decrease. All of the developers, all of the realtors, and even an appraiser have gone on record saying that the property values will decrease. Use and enjoyment of the neighborhood. 35 feet tall, less than 10 feet from my property line. It's going to deprive my property of light. It's going to deprive my property of air. It's going to take away the view. It's going to put a row of windows looking into my backyard. That's going to deprive me of my use and enjoyment of the property for which I have right of use. They are not in harmony with the comprehensive plan. Their application, as I mentioned, is full of inaccuracies. Their application still goes back to their original application. It calls for the wrong number of beds. All kinds of things have changed in there. But I can tell you, they claim to be in the Lake Street corridor. They're not. The Lake Street corridor ends at York Street. They are east of there. So the comprehensive plan of the city of Elmhurst does not include the property for which they plan to expand. Whenever they refer to those things, they refer to Lake Street. However, they're planning to expand onto Fremont Avenue. Fremont Avenue is in a subdivision of the comprehensive plan that calls specifically, and I pointed it out here in this chamber, it calls specifically for single-family homes on East Fremont, according to the map in the Elmhurst Comprehensive Plan. So this goes back to the standards of the municipal code for the city of Elmhurst, for which all of you are thankfully responsible to vote and measure and apply the laws of this city. Fear of lawsuits, talks about the good works that they do, all of the wonderful things that they do. That is not what this case is about.
Sir,
and I am thankful.
You're running a little over. I'd ask you to wrap up, please.
I will. There were a few that also seem to have gone a bit over earlier, and I apologize for my long-windedness. In the end, I'm very, very grateful for all of the work that you're about to do. I'm sorry to hear that this is going back to committee, but I implore you, when it comes time to vote, please look at the standards, apply the evidence, and vote against the expansion request for Elmhurst Extended Care Center. Thank you very much.
Greg Dvorak, 174 East Fremont.
I'll be short and quick. My name's Greg Dvorak. I live at 174. I've lived on Fremont for 52 years. Just because it is zoned R2, and in the ordinance it says there can be nursing homes in R2, many of you live in R2. So what they're suggesting, if you knock down 2 homes in an R2 district, it doesn't matter, they could put up a facility there. That's not true because it won't fit in the neighborhood. Number 2, it's not going to be in our backyards, it's going to be in our front yards. We're going to be looking at this every day. It's not in our backyards hitting, it's walk out our front door, look at the facility. Thank you very much.
Marie DeSoma at 215 North Grove.
Hi, my name is Marie DeSoma. My mom will be at Elmhurst Extended Care 5 years on May 18th. I travel every day from Oak Park, almost every day. I miss very few days, and I could have chosen a home much closer to me. But upon the recommendation of a friend of mine who had relatives at Elmhurst, when I came there, I saw the facility, I knew it was old, but I immediately was able to connect with the staff and the wonderful care that they have given my mom for all these 5 years. Elmhurst is known for knocking down and rebuilding, and I have friends who have done that. So I don't understand, if I was going to build or remodel something and I live next to a nursing home, they're not going to be a threat to me. I mean, they are the best people to have. There aren't very many cars there in the evening. I've been there at night. There's no one, there's no traffic going back and forth. I don't understand why anyone would be afraid or disagree that an expansion would be wonderful. My mom was in a 3-bed, and I have told friends about it, and everyone wants to have single rooms. Hospitals now have single rooms. Why shouldn't a facility that is so great be denied that, you know, the option to do that? So I really think that you should consider you plan and work with them in trying to get this done. It would be wonderful for all the residents. Thank you.
Todd Pagash, 566 West Gladys.
Claude Poggett, 566 West Gladys. I'm going to kind of change the tempo of this. I understand all of your concerns. I appreciate you all being here. They may not, but I do. We're going to cover something else. The state of Illinois has got some legislature that would like to propose recreational marijuana for the state of Illinois. Not to improve the health of the residents, but to collect the tax dollars. Nice of them, isn't it? Riverboat gambling was going to help the state. Lottery was going to help the state. Video gambling was going to help the state. None of it seems to have worked because the state is considering raising the taxes on fuel. They also would like to come in with a sugar tax. It seems to be working in other states. And they have mountains of general obligation bonds. That's just the way Elmhurst City is. Certainly is. We got a sugar tax. We got a $1.50 tax on each gallon of gasoline. Yes, we do. Okay? City is charging us more for the water than it pays to DuPage County. I've got a $20 fee on my water bill. It's all there. Okay? City charges you to move into Elmhurst. You may not know it, but they do. And the reason I bring this all up is why legislative bodies like this one, school boards, state, never have enough money. This council has given plenty of money away, but it never has enough money. It's always looking somewhere to gain a little money. You see these people in this room? Their salaries are not going up. Not unless all the papers are lying to us all. Let alone every legislative body, whether state, county, city, wants more. Needs more money.
Mr. Pagash, I'd ask you to wrap up your comments, please.
I will. The one comment I want to make is this. Water meters are going in because of a general obligation bond. These residents pay for those general obligation bonds. Commercial industry does not. Will the commercial businesses in this town pay for their water meter and its installation, or is that covered by that $8 million general obligation bond?
Rachel Troy, 8013 Summerdale, Chicago.
My name's Rachel Troy. I work for Elmhurst Extended Care Center. I just can't believe that this is going based off of looks and aesthetics of a neighborhood when the building's been there for so long. And yes, there are 3 residents to a room, and it'd be better if there was private rooms. I mean, Park Place has private rooms, Lexington has private rooms. How can you deny us the fact to offer private rooms for residents coming in? Doesn't matter about the care, it doesn't matter about anything. It's the people on Fremont that just want to make it look pretty. Well, if we work together with them and you guys approve it and maybe get an idea of what they want it to look like, then we'd be able to work together in harmony. That's all I want to say.
Love Davi, 200 East Lake Street.
I'm going to withdraw my request to speak.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Ed, but I'm not sure how to pronounce your last name. Mannion? Is that Mannion? Okay. 436 Highview.
Good evening. My name is Ed Mannion. We moved to Elmhurst in 1963 and have owned and lived here in 3 different houses. Our 4 kids have attended Hawthorne, Sandburg, and York schools. My wife, Therese Mannion, diagnosed with Alzheimer's dementia, has been a patient at the Elmhurst Extended Care Nursing Home for the past 46 months. We were impressed by the November 10th, 2016 presentation given by Administrator Mr. Dave Love and his attorney and several others who covered important zoning issues on behalf of the Dave family. Extended care is owned by the Administrator Dave Love and other Dave family members. I was to give a short talk in support of extended care. However, lengthy prior zoning cases imposed closing time constraints at the November 10th meeting. Therefore, my comments were to be scheduled at another time. Due to a hospital stay for repair of my mitral valve prolapse issue, I subsequently wrote a letter to the zoning committee with my thoughts on the zoning issues. This short presentation essentially sets forth the same options as does the referenced letter. It goes without saying that the exceptionally good medical care and first-rate rehabilitation service provided by extended care are designed to fit specific physical and cognitive needs of every patient. The pending Elmhurst Extended Care Facility expansion plan is essentially about its lack of 1- and 2-bedroom availability. From the point of view of many of our Elmhurst citizens, there is a very substantial need for a centrally located nursing home with a reputation for outstanding care like extended care. We all know 1- and 2-bedroom availability is essential in today's nursing home patient usage. We have had several friends stay short-term at extended care. One very old-time friend died last year. In the past, he as well as his wife have been Elmhurst Extended Care patients. By the way, several years ago, they lived at 198 East Fremont Avenue, which is directly across the street from the south end of the proposed extended care building expansion. Too bad private room option wasn't available for his last days of life. The staff at Extended Care is outstanding for delivery of excellent patient care. Many of the staff members have more than 10 years service, some have 20 or more. Administrator Dave Love Dave has 8 years. His mother has been an accountant for 17 or 18, I've forgotten. It's longer as this thing extends out in time. Most department heads have long records of service. Consequently, one senses a feeling of camaraderie at all staff levels. This mindset spreads and propagates through the general patient population. All employees, even when they are doing routine work, are trained to engage nicely with patients whenever possible. Cindy, the activity director, has 20 years now service. She oversees schedules and plans topics used by several activity employees who direct the attention and channel the activities of patients to interesting and pleasurable recreational pastimes. As I said at the beginning of this short narrative, that my wife has been at extended care for almost 4 years. She has severe cognitive problems. Without the availability to communicate information that might cause her discomfort or pain. Some days I have the feeling of some awareness or some recognition of me on her part. I do know that she is happy to see me. For this reason, I try to visit every day. As a result, I have an abundance of exposure to most of the staff. Therefore, my comments regarding the performance and efficacy of staff can be thought of more than simply anecdotal. Approve of the zoning revisions that will permit upgrading the extended care building without any increase in bed count will be a huge benefit to the cities of Elmhurst, the citizens of Elmhurst. Many local people have resources for private or semi-private accommodations that will assist on that. Another improvement would be the appearance of the building. What is now the plain back of the existing structure would become, as I thought we would see a pictorial of it, but here tonight, but we don't. But it's a 3 beautifully landscaped townhouse-like structure, which fits in perfectly with the residential aspect of the Fremont area neighborhood. The Elmhurst citizens shouldn't be denied this centrally located jewel of a nursing home. It's the best. Let's give it to the Elmhurst citizenry. Thank you.
Jorge Zapata, 198 East Fremont.
How many left, Patty?
Hello, my name is George Zapata, 198 East Fremont. I don't see Deacon John here, but I'm also a parishioner of Immaculate Conception and proud graduate of 94. We have a lot of parishioners as well on our street who send their kids there to school or for RE. So I wanted to also thank the ZPC as well as the DPZ for their special attention to detail and looking at all the standards in which this decision is based on. The original recommendations were good and they were very solid, and they were basically looked at based on the standards only. And I am not sure why it's going back to the DPZ. That is unclear. But clearly we are out-lawyered. That's all I can say about that. And I'm really excited to go home and tell my 5th grader that he's been referenced several times by people of the EEC. If the director of business development is threatened by 5th graders' comments, he must be doing something good and there must be a lot of money at stake. So that's pretty interesting. To be clear, we do not oppose the elderly or the handicapped. If you remember, we have more seniors on our street, on our block, than they have in that building, actually. We have handicapped people as well on our block, specifically on my driveway when my mom comes over to visit me every single day. Speaking of Catholics and Deacon John and everything, my mom's in Jerusalem, all right? That's how Christian she is. She's on this crazy tour of, anyways, not to be mentioned here. Anyhow, we've even sent business to the EECC. We support their business, but we don't support the land use, and we don't support the standards that are being twisted and the way our neighborhood has been mischaracterized in order to try to fit this giant building onto a residential street. All the facts are there. I'm not going to repeat any of this stuff. It's all been reviewed. Good recommendations have been made, so I'm not going to go over all this stuff again. Unfortunately, this applicant, all they've caused is everyone to lose countless dollars, hours, time, and effort, sleepless nights, including unnecessary anxiety for my family and kids. We, as residents, out of our own pocket, have spent money on appraisals, water flow studies and analysis, a bunch of signs which were stolen. We have a legal attorney as well, Mick Roth. We've spent numerous hours sending flyers out, doing meetings, researching, all to protect our homes against an opportunistic applicant without any consideration for Elmhurst. The city has very limited resources, but they keep submitting things, they keep changing things, they modify things, and they keep burning very limited and very valuable dollars and hours from the city. Not only that, but they're threatening you guys with lawsuits. What type of applicant does that? What type of work are we going to, how are we supposed to work with an applicant that does that to the city? Not very neighborly, and I didn't see anyone or anybody from the EEC up at the beginning of this meeting with all the great community work that these other gentlemen and women that were up here representing the good charitable things that they're doing for the town. They're just up here as opportunistic business people looking to expand a business, which I appreciate, but it just doesn't meet the standards. Members of the City Council, do not give in to the threats posted by the EEC and Scott Day. Do not give in to his scare tactics. Again, they should not be threatening us with a lawsuit. They should be trying to work with the city in a positive manner in order to make something happen. Never once did any of them ever come out to residents to speak with us, work with us, or even ask us what we think, how this could actually work. They're just trying to steamroll us with a high-paid legal attorney, and obviously that's what's happening since it's going back to DPZ. We've been outlawyered. Thank you for your time and your consideration, and I will have my fifth grader come back and talk to everybody at the next one.
John Mazzard, 871 Rosedale Avenue, Roselle.
My name is John Massard. My family built the Elmhurst Extended Care Center. We opened it in 1961. I was the administrator there for 47 years. I trained Mr. Love. My mother actually died in the nursing home. My sister died in that nursing home. It's one of the few family nursing facilities there are in the state of Illinois. It continues to be a family facility. I wish that you could rehab old nursing home administrators like you can buildings, but you can't. It needs a new facelift. And some of the residents on Fremont are saying that. There's way too many bricks, too many assets to move this facility. Years ago, I came before the City Council and expanded it. We expanded it under a special use, because it is a special use. Now people are looking at it like it's a commercial. We haven't handled it like it's been a commercial building. We've handled it like it was a family-run facility. And it continues to this day. We have been good neighbors. I've talked with my neighbors. Many of them have come and go. I've helped many of them during floods, different problems in the area. I've owned 2 homes on Fremont Street. If I could work there today, I'd still be there working. It's also more than just supplying services to the elderly. Not mentioned, it's a teaching facility. Triton College has classes there for nurses. There's constantly interns in and out of the facility. Social service, dietary, RNs, LPNs, nurses' aides, therapists. All of them are learning from what we're doing. And they're learning it the right way. This facility was built under a certificate of need. That need still exists. There are very few facilities like this in the state of Illinois. I was the president of the Illinois Healthcare Association. There aren't any family-run facilities in the state. This is it. We've done a lot of things for the neighborhood. We've sponsored Little League teams. Maybe you've seen some of our Little Leaguers run around with the kids pick the nursing home on the back of their jersey. Baseball teams for men, women, bowling teams. I even sponsored a young lady to be on one of the neighbors to be on a debating team. There's a lot of things we've done for the community, including sending students to school and paying their tuition.
Sir, you're running over your minutes. I'd ask you to wrap up, please.
Is it 1 minute?
It's 3 minutes.
Okay. I would ask that you support the expansion of the facility. It's very much needed, and it's a very special place. Thank you.
Barbara Clark.
Good evening. I would say under oath, and I say with pride, that my mother, Bertha, is 99 and is a 12-year resident at Elmhurst Extended Care. I know that in those 12 years, I could not do for my mother what this facility has done for her. For the quality of her life, for the enjoyment, for the just overall general care of my mother. What I see here tonight is, maybe...
Excuse me one minute, ma'am. Actually, we have to leave the door open. We have to leave it open for an open meeting. We're just going to contact our over-enthusiastic cleaning crew and ask them to clean another part of the building right now.
Actually, what I see is it really a question of pride on both sides. EEC is a 5-star rated facility, one of few in the state of Illinois, and should be a source of pride to the city of Elmhurst. We have a beautiful new hospital. We continue to add amenities downtown. This is a facility that serves a population that continues to grow and to age. None of us here, I never anticipated, putting my mother in a nursing home. I never anticipated visiting her almost daily for 12 years. So there's a pride, there should be a pride in the city of Elmhurst at having Elmhurst Extended Care. There, of course, is pride in a neighborhood. And we all understand, that we sell Elmhurst, as a city of neighborhoods, good schools, transportation, all the good things that we can talk about. They're on both sides, and I really think and hope that the two sides come together for the expansion of Elmhurst Extended Care. Thank you.
Noreen Thermos.
Thank you, Your Honor, and City Council members. My name is Noreen Thermos. I'm going to share a letter that I mailed to each of you. The year 2016 was a rough one for me. My mom died unexpectedly, and my sister died 7 months to the day at 62 years old. My dad has Alzheimer's, and the care my dad received from my mom suddenly ended. The past year has been difficult, and I had no choice but to put my dad in a care facility. After visiting 6 facilities, I walked out of Elmhurst Extended Care Center feeling hopeful and positive. Because of how nicely I was treated and saw how they treated their residents as family, I felt it was the only place I could entrust with the care of my beloved dad. It's not a big facility, not many single rooms, but settled for a room with 3 beds just to be part of this 5-star Medicare-rated facility where the staff shows kind-heartedness every day to the people they help. Other facilities have more spacious common areas, deserving of the residents they serve. With all the wonderful care they are receiving at EECC, it would be beneficial to all if they could expand to give our elderly and disabled the best possible care and much-needed quality of life they deserve. Elmhurst Extended Care Center is much more than a nursing home. It truly is a care facility because of the wonderful care and compassion they are providing for our loved ones. They provide many daily activities, and the dining room / activity room can get cramped, squeezing in the wheelchairs for all to participate. I hope you are never faced with the dilemma of admitting a family member to a nursing home, but if you had a choice, I would recommend Elmhurst Extended Care Center. My dad will continue to be a permanent resident, but there are many that are short-term for rehab, and more space would be advantageous for them on their journey to return home. It would be beneficial for the city of Elmhurst to have a bigger and better center that you would be known for and proud of because of the potential of EECC becoming an even greater place to assist our seniors. I hope you consider voting in favor of the application for expansion of Elmhurst Extended Care Center for the benefit of our seniors who are also part of your community. Thank you.
Eileen Oser. Okay, great.
Good evening. My name is Eileen Oser. I'm here once again to state that I am opposed to the expansion of EEC onto Fremont Street. This is not about senior citizens. My own grandmother was in Elmhurst Extended Care. She had wonderful care. We don't believe it's appropriate to have the structures such as they're proposing in the middle of a residential street. If you have 30% of 1.6 acres and 30% of, a fifth of an acre are not the same thing. This building is going to span between two streets, East Fremont and Lake Street. I couldn't find any other example of that when I drove around town in Elmhurst. I just don't think it's appropriate in the particular placement. Thank you.
And the last person I'm going to call up, Mr. Mayor, is Teresa McCarthy, that's signed in.
I'm Teresa McCarthy. I've been here before, I've spoken to you before. I would just like to make a few comments. I spent 25 years in the healthcare field as a physical therapist as well as a physician that specializes in rehab. I work in their facilities, but I'm also a neighbor. I own property on Fremont. I object to having a building in the middle of a block. This could happen anywhere in Elmhurst. 1.6 acres is not big enough. This is a 50,000 square foot facility spanning two streets that it's too big. The nearest home is 4,000 square feet. So please vote against Elmhurst Extended Care Center. Thank you.
Righty. Teresa's the last one that's signed.
Okay, that's it for public forum for those who signed in this evening. At this time, is there anybody in the audience who did not have an opportunity to sign in our sign-in sheet, however still wishes to address council? If so, please raise your hand so I can get a count. All right, I see two. We typically go left to right. I'm going to ask this young lady to go first, and then you in the back, sir. As you have not signed in, please be clear when stating your name. Thank you.
Promise to make this quick. My name is Julie McNichols. I live at 185 East Fremont. I understand that the applicant submitted 60 signatures on a petition opposing, or I'm sorry, supporting this expansion. The written submission made by my husband tonight contained over 170 signatures. These signatures are residents from many parts of Elmhurst, not just our ward. And they too are concerned about setting this precedent in Elmhurst. We take pride in our neighborhood, and we want to protect it. So I respectfully ask that you consider the zoning laws and consider our request to deny this. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Mark Escarino. I live at 169 East Fremont Avenue. Elmhurst has character. That is what a sign in our city council lobby states. Many of my neighbors have stated our opposition with valid facts and figures, so I will not repeat them. What I ask of the city council, of our city council, is to assist the residents of East Fremont Avenue in preserving the character of a small part of Elmhurst. We have an insular feel that must be maintained. This aspect of our lives would be forever changed if the city council approves expansion of EECC. Elmhurst has character. Please assist in preserving character of East Fremont Avenue. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, anyone else who wishes to address the council at this time? Okay. That wraps up public forum. On to announcements. Agenda item 7, any announcements from the dais? Alderman Dunn.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to make note of the fact that the Fly Quiet runway rotation, the second test is underway. It started 2 weeks ago. Last week, we were in week 2 of a 12-week rotation, and that did impact Elmhurst. We had the primary configuration was takeoffs on 22L, which impacts us. We did have some aircraft landing on some nights last week. I did receive about half a dozen calls, at least from residents who were inquiring about that. So I just wanted to make a note of that. And we will also be impacted the week of June 4th and the week of July 2nd from that particular runway. Also to note is there is a meeting for the O'Hare Noise Compatibility Commission Ad Hoc Fly Quiet Committee meeting this Friday, the 19th at 10 a.m. And it's to be held at the City of Chicago Department of Aviation building. And if you want more information on that, the flychicago.com/fly quiet test. You can get more information on that particular test. Thanks.
Thank you. Alderman York.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention that on Saturday, May 27th, Elmhurst College will hold its 146th commencement. The undergraduate ceremony will be held beginning at 10 a.m. 751 seniors, including 7 in the Elmhurst Learning and Success Academy, will be receiving their degrees. Also during the undergraduate ceremony, the college will confer honorary doctoral degrees on longtime Chicago radio host and Elmhurst alumna Terry Hemmert and former longtime Tonight Show band leader Doc Severinsen. And both of them will be present. Terry Hemmert will be delivering the commencement address for that ceremony. Then, but wait, there's more. The graduate ceremony will be conferring degrees on 214 graduate students at 3 p.m. that afternoon. So there should be a lot of activity in and around the college to honor these nearly 1,000 graduates from the Elmhurst College.
Thank you.
Congratulations to all of them.
Alderman Mulliner.
I just want to remind everybody that this is National Police Week, and I'd like to take an opportunity to thank our police officers and our police chief for all the hard work that they do for the city of Elmhurst.
Okay, any other announcements? Seeing none, we'll go on to consent agenda. At this time, is there any item on the consent agenda any alderman wishes to have removed, to vote no, or for further discussion? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as published. Motion by Alderman Honquist, second by Alderman York. Clerk Spencer.
Sabatino.
Aye.
Deuter. Aye. Dunn.
Aye.
Leader.
Aye.
Volumsky.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Paludo.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Levin.
Aye.
Park.
Aye.
Honquist.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Mulliner.
Aye.
Brennan.
Aye.
14 ayes, 0 nays.
14 ayes, 0 nays. Consent agenda passes in its entirety. On to agenda item 9, reports and recommendations. Mayor Morley, 9.1, that's me. I'll keep my report short. I want to thank the council for 30 seconds ago approving the committee appointments for 2017 through 2019. We have a lot of how can I put this? We have a lot of terrific people around the council, and a lot of great personalities, a lot of people with strengths, and I've been considering committee assignments for probably the last 4 months. Rest assured, all of you, you ended up on a committee on my worksheet that I played with on my desk for the last 4 months. You ended up where you are for a reason, and I appreciate your confidence in voting this through, and I do personally believe that this is the best set of committee members and will serve the residents well for the next 2 years. So thank you very much for your indulgence. City Manager Grabowski.
2 items coinciding with Alderman Mulliner's comments. This Friday, the police department, in partnering with the law enforcement torch run for Special Olympics, will host the Cop on Top, which is a fundraiser at 2 local Dunkin' Donuts stores, one on North York and the other one on Butterfield, and that'll be from 5 a.m. until noon. Please swing by and pick up your Special Olympics gear for a small donation. And then the second item is last week, letters went out to random residents, randomly selected residents from the water meter list regarding the water meter change-out process that we're going through. We're doing a pilot project with approximately 100 residents, including myself, maybe some at the dais, on the water meter change-out that will be rolled out later this year, but we're going through this test phase. So if anybody has questions about that on the letters that they received, please send them our way. There's information on the website as well.
Very good. Any other reports? Alderman Bram.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to make a request for a future meeting. I saw over this weekend that there were some discussions and some communities actually concerned and vocalizing their concern in regards to the expansion or widening of 294. 294 does border the city of Elmhurst, so I was wondering if we can get some additional information on have there been any changes since the proposal, what seems to be years ago? I'm not sure when the last one was, and how, if it will, and if so, how will it impact the city of Elmhurst?
Okay, we can do that. Anyone else? Okay, committee reports, number 10. Chairman Honquist.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. We're going to pull this report back to committee, please.
Got it. As a courtesy, we always allow committees to pull reports back if so requested. On to other business. Any other business? Okay, the moment we've all been waiting for. At 9:20 at night. Elmhurst City Council 101. Can you please?
We take a 2-minute break?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. We're going to take a, let's see,
3.5-minute break?
3.5-minute bio break. Motion to adjourn. Motion by Alderman Levin.
Adjourn?
Motion to recess.
Yeah,
Motion by Alderman Levin, second by Alderman Bram. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're adjourned for 3.5 minutes.